Hi, my name is Kelly Jones. I'm back with another healthy eating tip. We have been looking at food labels and ingredients, and I had somebody the other day ask me about MSG. So let's dive into that one today. But before we get into it, I do want to say that as we learn more about food ingredients and additives, and especially those that are detrimental to our health, we can kind of get to this point where we say, holy cow, what can I eat? Totally understandable. And I think the best thing that we can do is just kind of think of everything in moderation. With that being said, MSG is an additive that's in a laundry list of packaged and processed foods. MSG impacts people differently depending on their biology and physiology. And if you find that you're sensitive to it, you just might have to be a little bit more diligent about the foods that you choose to eat so that you feel your best. MSG, or monosodium glutamate, is one of the most common types of what we call excitotoxins. Another very common excitotoxin would be aspartame. Excitotoxins are a class of chemicals that stimulate or excite your taste buds. So think of them like flavor bombs. They're chemicals added to food and beverages to make them more palatable or more flavorful than the product would be on its own. If you've ever wondered why you can't stop eating a particular food or drinking a particular beverage, it's probably because there's an excitotoxin added to it. What it does is it tricks your brain into thinking that the food or beverage is really good, and food company giants spend billions of dollars just trying to create the most addictive taste for their products. Today there are more than 70 different excitotoxins used in packaged and processed foods, and many of those foods contain 2 to as many as 5 of those excitotoxins in them. So they're prevalent in things like fast food, processed meats, cold cuts, soups, instant noodles, snacks, chips, crackers, sauces, salad dressings, gravies, convenience meals, seasoning mixes, breath mints, chewing gum, sports drinks, iced tea mixes, and soda. And unfortunately, this is by no means an exhaustive list. So let's talk specifically about glutamate and the difference between naturally occurring glutamate in whole foods and the additive monosodium glutamate. Glutamic acid is an amino acid found in abundance in plant and animal protein. Glutamate is essentially the same compound as glutamic acid. It can be found in a number of whole foods such as mushrooms, ripe tomatoes, broccoli, grapes, peas, corn, potatoes, and walnuts. If you're eating a whole foods diet, that's a great way to ensure that you have good levels of glutamate in your body. Glutamate is also the most common form of glutamic acid in our bodies. It's not only beneficial, but it's essential for life, for metabolism and brain function. So your body's actually able to generate it without ingesting it through food sources. Glutamate is the most abundant neurotransmitter in the brain. What it does is it activates cells in the brain in order to communicate messages, and is particularly important in the growth and development of the brain, learning, and memory. Now, monosodium glutamate, on the other hand, is a synthetic chemical and a very concentrated form of glutamate. Due to the manufacturing process, it's almost always accompanied by unwanted byproducts and contaminants, which tend to be the problem why people are either sensitive or intolerant to glutamate. If you're eating packaged and processed foods with glutamate multiple times a day, every day, that's what leads to the real problem with MSG, and that's excessive glutamate. Excessive glutamate poses a risk to everyone, especially children. Now, that hasn't always been the case. It's the product of modern day unhealthy food processing and an unhealthy overconsumption of packaged and processed foods. So what makes MSG and other excitotoxins harmful? Your brain cells communicate with each other via neuron receptors and neurotransmitters. And those are special chemical messengers. So by secreting small amounts of these special chemicals, brain cells can excite nearby brain cells, therefore thereby sending signals and relaying important information. MSG and other excitotoxins overstimulate these receptors, causing them to fire impulses at such a rapid rate that they become exhausted and eventually die. Excitotoxins also generate extreme levels of free radicals that cause additional cell death. And once these neurons in our brain are lost, they're gone for good. You cannot repair the damage. Cell death happens primarily in the parts of the brain that control behavior, emotions, sleep cycles, and immunity. So here are some of the health issues that may be due to these genetically modified flavor enhancers. Headaches, migraines, asthma, sweating, flushing, numbness of face and neck, palpitations, nausea, chest pain, inflammation, sleeplessness or sleep disturbance, unwarranted weight gain, rashes or crawling skin, obesity, thyroid conditions, and hormonal disorders or imbalances that lead to feeling fatigued, rundown, depressed, or trouble losing weight. Excitotoxins have also been linked to brain damage, degenerative brain diseases, inflammatory-based neurological disorders, seizures, autism, infertility, and violent behavior. I list these things for you because if you feel like there's something missing in your health and you have just not been able to figure out what it is, MSG might be an ingredient to take a look at. Now, as I said earlier, MSG affects everybody differently, so you're just basically going to have to run an experiment of one on yourself. Try avoiding MSG and also aspartame, and just do it for a period of time and see how it makes you feel. And if you feel like glutamate might be what's causing the symptoms that you have and they haven't completely disappeared, you can even consider eliminating those whole food sources that also have glutamate in them. As far as knowing what to look for on a food label, that's the tricky part. MSG is disguised by a number of different names. So rather than go through the list of names here, grab a pen and a paper, and I'm going to give you a website that you can go to find a comprehensive list of ingredients to look for. So if you're ready to write this down, it's www.truthinlabeling.org/names.html. And I'll say that again, truthinlabeling.org/names.html. This is a nonprofit organization working to raise awareness about the truth of MSG, and it contains a wealth of information to help you learn more about it if you'd like to. So I hope this was helpful. You guys have a great rest of your day.